Alhamdulillah, sallallahu Rasulullah, ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala, thumma amma ba'd. Now, we're done with our tawaf. We went and prayed the 2 rak'ahs, behind the Maqam Ibrahim, the station of Ibrahim. We went and touched the Hajar al-Aswad if we could. And then we exit to as-Safa to make our sa'i. Imam al-Qudamah rahimahullah said, ثم يخرج إلى الصفا من بابه فيرقى عليه ويكبر الله ويهلله ويدعوه. Then he departs to as-Safa from its gate and climbs it and says Allahu Akbar and makes tahleel and supplicates to him. ثم ينزل فيمشي إلى العلم ثم يسعى إلى العلم الآخر ثم يمشي حتى يأتي المروة فيفعل كفعله على الصفا. And then he walks to the flag, which is the light now, not a flag, it's a light. And then it's a green light. And then walks briskly to the other flag, other green light. And then walks until he reaches al-Marwa and does as he did at as-Safa. ثم ينزل فيمشي في موضع مشي ويسعى في موضع سعيه حتى يكمل 7 أشواط يحتسب بالذهاب سعيه وبالرجوع سعيه يفتتح بالصفا ويختم بالمروة. After that, he walks in the place of walking and walks briskly in the place of walking briskly until he finishes 7 rounds. He counts going as 1 round and coming back as 1 round, starting with as-Safa and finishing with al-Marwa. Basically, here is as-Safa and al-Marwa. This is as-Safa, this is al-Marwa, this is as-Safa here. This is al-Marwa there. And what you're doing is you're going to come from the Kaaba, you're going to come from here, you're going to walk to as-Safa. And what you're doing is you climb the Safa. You're going to come from the Kaaba, you're going to come from here, you're going to walk to as-Safa.
Starting from Safa, meaning
and what you're doing is because if you have 7 rounds, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where did you end? Marwa. So, no, because some people get confused. It's not. So you do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you end that in Marwa. Every time you get to, women don't climb, men can climb. Women just get to as-Safa, to the border of Safa and al-Marwa. It used to be a climb, by the way. Nowadays, it doesn't look like a climb at all. But it used to be a real climb. Then you make your dua and your tahleel and your takbir and so on, and then you go back and you walk. There are 2 lights, one is here and one is here. And between those 2 lights, men are doing brisk walking. Only between those 2 lights. For the rest, they just walk normally. Women don't do brisk walking, they just walk. Now, you're done with the tawaf and sa'i. You came into Mecca, you're done with your tawaf and sa'i. Then Imam al-Qudamah says, ثم يقصر من شعره إن كان معتمرا وقد حل إلا المتمتع إن كان معه هدي والقارن والمفرد فإنه لا يحل. And then he shortens his hair if he was making Umrah and exited from his state of Ihram, except the one who was making Tamattu, if he has his offerings with him, or the one making Qiran or Ifrad, none of them exit from the state of Ihram. None of them exit from the state of Ihram. No one takes his offerings with him nowadays, so don't worry about this. If you're mutamatta', you will exit from your state of ihram. If you are making ifrad or qiran, hajj only, or hajj and umrah combined, you're not exiting from your state of ihram. That's it. But if you're mutamatta', you only shorten your hair. You don't completely shave it because you will keep the shaving for the hajj. وَالْمَرْأَةُ كَالرَّجُلِ إِلَّا أَنَّهَا لَا تَرْمُلْ فِي طَوَافٍ وَلَا سَعْيٍ. Women are like men except they do not make ramal, brisk walking, and short steps in tawaf or sa'i. But the rest of the ahkam are applicable to the woman. And certainly it goes without saying that she does not make a taba or uncover the right shoulder. Now the next chapter is Sifatul Hajj, the chapter of the description of Hajj. Now we're done with the Umrah, we're mutamatta'in, we're done with the Umrah. We arrived on the 5th. Now we're waiting around for Hajj, which will start on the 8th, because the days of Hajj are the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and if you want to add the 13th as well. So the days of Hajj are 5 to 6 days, from the 8th to the 12th, or you can also add the 13th. Question?
Just to clarify, now you said for tamattu, but the slide before that, if you are doing your tawaf and your sa'i, and you can at that time you get out of the state of ihram, except if you have hajj.
No, except if you brought your hadi with you. Because they used to bring the hadi with them from, so the Prophet brought his hadi with him from Medina, and Ali brought his hadi with him from Mecca. So he's bringing his camels with him, on the trip. No one is doing this nowadays. Don't worry about this. So now we're starting, now the 8th day came, the one who was making ifrad and the one who was making Quran, they're still in their ihram, they're still wearing their ihram, and they did not exit from their ihram. They don't need to worry about anything. They just need to proceed from Mecca to Mina today. Need to proceed from Mecca to Mina. وإذا كان يوم التروية فمن كان حلالا أحرم من مكة وخرج إلى عرفات. And when it is the day of Tarwiyah, storing water, no one is doing this nowadays because there's water in Mina and Arafat, then everyone who is not in a state of ihram should enter into it from Mecca and go to Arafah. And those are the people who are making tamattu, who exited from their state of ihram. They'll put their ihram back on, they'll make the niyyah to make ihram for Hajj, and proceed to Mina, not Arafah. Imam ibn Qudamah here skipped Mina for some reason, I don't know why, but this is not intentional. This is not intentional because everybody knows that it is the sunnah to spend the rest of the 8th until the 9th in the morning in Mina. And you will proceed to Arafah, from Mina in the morning of the 9th of the Hajj, before Dhuhr, of the 9th of the Hajj. So you are proceeding to Mina, not directly to Arafah. And I did explain this in the footnote, right? I did mention in the footnote that Imam al-Qudamah skipped Mina, or I did not. No, I didn't really. When it says وَإِذَا كَانَ يَوْمُ التَّرْوِيَةِ, where does it say that? Wait a second.
What slide? Yes. Oh, in the book?
In the book.
I thought you were talking about the PowerPoint.
Oh, I did, guys. Yeah.
Yes.
It is footnote 585. Yeah, footnote 585. So you're not proceeding to Arafah directly, you're proceeding to Mina. Okay, now we're going to Arafah. Now we are going to Arafah. He says فإذا زالت الشمس يوم عرفة صلى الظهر والعصر يجمع بينهما بأذان وإقامتين ثم يروح إلى الموقف وعرفات كلها موقف إلا بطن عرنة. And when the sun reaches its zenith on the day of Arafah, he prays Dhuhr and Asr combined with one adhan and 2 iqamas. Then goes to the standing place, all of Arafat except for the bottom of the valley of Urana. All of Arafat is a standing station except for the valley of Urana, the bottom of the valley of Urana. So Wadi Urana is here at the border of Arafah. Masjid Namira, do you see why they put it on the border here? Because the front of Masjid Namira is outside of Arafah. It is just the back, it is safer that you get out of Masjid Namira and go to Arafah. But if you really want to stay in Masjid Namira, you need to go to the very back of the masjid. The front of Masjid Namira towards Mecca here is outside of Arafah. Then ويستحب أن يقف في موقف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أو قريبا من الصخرات ويجعل حبل المشاة بين يديه ويستقبل القبلة ويكون راكبا. It is preferable to stand at the site where the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم stood or close to the rocks and have the pedestrians in front of him and face the Qibla while riding. So the Prophet stood here, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Here. Do you see this is the peak of the Jabal, of the Mount of Mercy? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood here. The pedestrians will be walking here. Mecca is in this direction. So he stood here and he faced Mecca. He stood here and he faced Mecca. Any place in Arafah, you could stand in any place in Arafah, and you don't need to be standing. You could be sitting, you could be lying down, you could be passing through, anything. It's just fine. You don't need to be standing, per se. You could be riding in your own car, if you have a car. ويكثر من قول لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير ويجتهد في الدعاء والرغبة إلى الله عز وجل إلى غروب الشمس. And say abundantly, there is no God but Allah alone without partners. To Him belongs the dominion and all praise is due to Him. In His hands is all goodness and He is capable of all things. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, أفضل الدعاء دعاء يوم عرفة وخير ما قلت أنا والنبيين من قبلي لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. So the best dua is the dua of Yawm Arafah, and the best thing that I and the prophets before me said is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Then, and he should excel in making supplication and seeking Almighty Allah until sunset. Now, you must wait until sunset. People who come after sunset to Arafah, there is no problem for them. People who arrive in Arafah after sunset, there is no problem for them. You need to combine between the day and the night if you come during the day. If you did not make it until the night, just standing any time standing any time at night will be sufficient. You don't need to make hadi or fidya or anything. If you proceed before sunset, if you had come during the day and you leave before sunset, then you will need to offer a sacrifice. But if you come at night, if you arrive in the night, then you don't need to offer a sacrifice. Okay. ثم يدفع مع الإمام إلى مزدلفة على طريق المأزمين وعليه السكينة والوقار ويكون ملبيا ذاكرا لله عز وجل. And then leaves with the Imam to al-Muzdalifah, taking the route of al-Ma'zimain. He proceeds, which is this route here, Arafah to Muzdalifah. We're coming from Dab, which is this route, Dab, and we're going back to al-Muzdalifah from Arafah على طريق المأزمين, which is this route here. He proceeds with serenity and dignity while making talbiyah and mentioning Almighty Allah. So you proceed, the Prophet ﷺ was, كان يشير بيده اليمنى للناس السكينة السكينة. He used to do this to the people with his right hand. Calm down, calm down. Sakina, sakina. Tranquility, tranquility. Tranquility, So because some people are just like a little overzealous. He used to, the Prophet ﷺ used to point with his right hand to the people to calm, and used to say, as-sakina, as-sakina. Tranquility, tranquility. Calm down, calm down. So that we don't have stampedes and we don't have all of the stuff that we have every single year. So now, then Imam al-Qudamah said, فإذا وصل إلى مزدلفة صلى بها المغرب والعشاء قبل حط الرحال يجمع بينهما ثم يبيت بها. Once he reaches al-Muzdalifah, he prays al-Maghrib and Isha before he unloads his belongings. First thing that you do when you arrive in Muzdalifah, pray Maghrib and Isha. That's the Sunnah. That is the Sunnah. he combines the prayers, then sleeps over in that place, sleeps, overnight in that place, in al-Muzdalifah. Then ثم يصلي الفجر بغلس ويأتي المشعر الحرام فيقف عنده ويدعو. After that he prays al-Fajr while it is still dark, and he goes to the Mash'ar al-Haram, which is the sacred site, and stands there and supplicates. He said, وَيَكُونْ مِنْ دُعَائِهِ, all of this dua has not been traceable to the Prophet. As we said before, the fuqaha were lenient with dua. You can use any dua that comes through weak chains, through some of the righteous predecessors, and so on, but you do not attribute it to the Prophet unless it's attributable to the Prophet, and also you could make up your own dua. اللهم كما وقفتنا فيه وأريتنا إياه فوفقنا لذكرك كما هديتنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا كما وعدتنا بقولك وقولك الحق فإذا أفضتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام واذكروه كما هداكم وإن كنتم من قبله لمن الضالين ثم أفيضوا من حيث أفاض الناس واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم. It's preferable that he include the following in his supplication. Oh Allah, you enabled us to stand at it, al-Mash'ar al-Haram, and see it. Enable us to mention you as you guided us, and forgive us and bestow mercy on us as you promised us in your saying, and your saying or your speech is all true. But when you depart from Arafat, remember Allah at al-Mash'ar al-Haram, and remember Him as He has guided you, for indeed you were before that among those astray. Then depart from the place from where all the people depart, and ask forgiveness of Allah. Indeed, Allah is forgiving and merciful. And these verses are in Surah al-Baqarah. ويقف حتى يسفر جدا ثم يدفع ويقف حتى يسفر جدا ثم يدفع قبل طلوع الشمس. And he stands until it is well lit, and then moves before sunrise, So you're standing at al-Mash'ar al-Haram until it is, until in the morning. It's clear, there is light all over the place. But before the sun rises. And then you proceed from al-Mash'ar al-Haram or from Muzdalifah in general, because you don't have to go to al-Mash'ar al-Haram. You could be anywhere in Muzdalifah and make those du'as. Anywhere in the precinct of Muzdalifah and make those du'as. And then you proceed from Muzdalifah to where? To Mina. فَإِذَا بَلَغَ مُحَسِّرًا, that is the valley of Muhassir, which means the withholder, the wadi that withheld the field or the elephant of Abraha al-Ashram when they came to conquer the Kaaba. So he was withheld or kept back in that wadi. That is why it's called Muhassir. It withheld, kept back the elephant. فإذا بلغ محسرا أسرع قدر رمية بحجر حتى يأتي منى فيبتدئ بجمرة العقبة فيرميها ب7 حصيات كحصى الخذف. Once he reaches Muhassir, he should hasten for a distance of a stone's throw until he arrives at Mina. Then he starts with the Jamrat al-Aqaba and throws 7 pebbles at it that are like the pebbles of throwing. Okay, this is Jamrat al-Aqaba. Where am I now? This cross section here. Do I have the Jamarat on my left or my right? When I look at this cross section, am I having the Jamarat on my left or my right? On my right. Right? Because now this is the direction of Mecca. So now I have the Jamarat on my right. Is that right? Yeah. This is the direction of Mecca. Okay, so you will go to Al-Jamra that is closest to Mecca, which is Jamrat al-Aqaba, which is Al-Jamra al-Kubra. Once, that is the one that you'll stone on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. That is the only one that you'll stone on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. Why does it say here if he reaches Muhassir, he should hasten? Because this is a place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tormented some people before, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا تدخلوا عليهم إلا باكين أو متباكين. Don't go to those places where people have been tormented except while you're crying or trying to cry, so that you don't be afflicted by that which they have been afflicted with, which shows the importance of people keeping good company and staying away from evil company, even after they were destroyed by many centuries, or in this case, by many years. Then he said, You're taking the stones from Muzdalifah so that you don't have to worry about picking up the stones from Mina. Take the stones with you. How many stones you want to take? 70 stones, because you will have 7 for the first day, and every single day afterwards 21. If you're not going to stay until the 13th, then take 49 stones. 49 stones with you, because you'll have 7 for the first day, 21 for day 11 for the second, which is the 11th, and 21 for the third, which is the 12th. 21 and 21 is 42, and 7 is 49. If you're staying until the 13th in Mina, take 70 stones with you. حصى الخسف 7 حصيات كحصى الخسف. حصى الخسف, the pebbles that are used for throwing, for games. حصى الخسف would be the size of, some people say a small olive. It is أكبر من الحمص and أصغر من البندق. It is bigger than the chickpea and smaller than the hazelnut. So take a hazelnut with you and chickpea, and then you look for 70 stones. It doesn't have to. The idea here is that it is not too big or too small. It is not too small to be insignificant. It is a hasa, it's a pebble. So pick up 70 pebbles. Not rocks and not, particles of sand. 70 pebbles. Okay. يكبر مع كل حصى ويرفع يديه. Okay. يكبر مع كل حصى ويرفع يديه في الرمي ويقطع التلبية بابتداء الرمي ويستبطن الوادي ويستقبل القبلة ولا يقف عندها. We're still on the 10th day, and this is al-Jamra al-Kubra. I'm just showing you al-Jamra al-Kubra. We're not doing this and we're not doing that. We're still on the 10th day. This is al-Jamra al-Kubra. This is Jamrat al-Aqaba. This is the one that is closest to Mina. This is the one that we are stoning on the 10th day. He says Allahu Akbar with every pebble and raises his hand while throwing, and he interrupts the talbiyah once he starts throwing. You interrupt the talbiyah of al-Umrah once you start the tawaf of the Umrah. You interrupt the talbiyah of al-Hajj, you stop the talbiyah of Hajj once you start stoning Jamrat al-Aqaba. When you make ihram to make your Umrah, if you're making tamattu, you make your ihram to make your Umrah, you're making talbiyah. When do you stop? When you start the tawaf of al-Umrah. Now you put your ihram back on and you kept on making talbiyah when in Mina, in Arafah, in Muzdalifah, you've been making talbiyah. Now you arrived in Mina. Once you start throwing the jamra, al-kubra, the major jamra, you quit making talbiyah. You quit making talbiyah. Once he starts throwing and he stands in the middle, in the bottom of the valley and faces the qibla. So you are standing here, you're standing here, and he's throwing. But he's saying that you are going to be here, and the qibla should be to this side. Huh?
The man in the picture.
Oh.
He's not wearing his ihram. And his head is covered. His head is covered.
No, he's right. This guy is completely fine. You see, ghiba. Backbiting is always bad. We're using his picture. He's doing this tomorrow. He's doing this on the 11th. He's doing this on the 11th. He already exited from his state of ihram. But we're using his picture to show you. I told you that this man is throwing the 3 jamarat. He will be doing this on the 11th, not the 10th. So we're just borrowing his picture. استغفر له الآن. Okay. Okay, so we stoned the Jamra. We stoned the Jamra. It's the 10th. We came from Muzdalifah. We started by stoning. We stoned Jamrat al-Aqaba. And you don't stand by it. You don't stand by Jamrat al-Aqaba. You just stone it and you leave. ثم ينحر هديه. Then he slaughters his sacrifice. ثم يحلق رأسه. And shaves his head. أو يقصره. Or he shortens his hair. ثم قد حل له كل شيء إلا النساء. Then everything is permissible for him except contact with women. And that includes any lustful contact, and that includes the marriage contract, conducting the marriage contract or being party in the marriage contract. ثم يفيض إلى مكة فيطوف للزيارة وهو الطواف الواجب الذي به تمام الحج. Then he proceeds to Mecca and performs the tawaf of his ziyarah, which is tawaf al-ifada. And that is the mandatory tawaf. Not just mandatory. It's mandatory, but it is also a corner, meaning Hajj is batil if that tawaf is not fulfilled, with which the Hajj becomes complete. ثم يسعى بين الصفا والمروة إن كان متمتعا أو ممن لم يسعى مع طواف القدوم. Then he walks briskly between Safa and Marwa if he was doing tamattu or has not made sa'i with tawaf al-qudum. With tawaf al-qudum. Is that clear? Then he walks briskly between Safa and Marwa if he was doing tamattu or has not made sa'i with tawaf al-qudum. The brisk walking is limited to the green lights, between the green lights. He's walking, he's making sa'i means brisk walking. But really, it is not all brisk walking. Sa'i is walking except for that distance between the two lights where you will do brisk walking. Okay. ثم قد حل من كل شيء. And after that, everything is halal for him. After he made the tawaf and sa'i, everything is halal for him or her. ويستحب أن يشرب من ماء زمزم لما أحب ويتضلع منه ثم يقول اللهم اجعله لنا علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وريا وشبعا وشفاء من كل داء واغسل به قلبي واملأه من خشيتك وحكمتك. And it is recommended that he drinks from Zamzam with any intention that he wishes, like you intend to make a dua. So when you drink, you're intending to make the dua. Then he says, and this dua has been reported through a weak chain from Ibn Abbas, but it is a beautiful dua and it has a lot of good meanings. So the scholars recommend it. He says, "Oh Allah, grant us with knowledge that is beneficial, because not all knowledge is beneficial. There is a lot of knowledge that harms its possessor. Provision that is plentiful, quenching of thirst and satisfaction after hunger, and cure of all ailments, and wash with it my heart and fill it with fear, or your fear, and fill it with your wisdom. حكمتك خشيتك وحكمتك املأه من خشيتك وحكمتك." What time do we have? What time is it? 9:53. Okay, no, we should probably we did go over the whole summary of Hajj before. What do you think?
Let's do it. You've done it, so let's go over it.
Let's go over this as well.
Let's do the Bad Night
Okay. So, okay, the following chapter, we're actually doing quite well. Let's just finish al-Hajj now. So, chapter of what he should do after exiting from Ihram. So, 11th and 12th. Now, on the 10th, you're done with everything that will make you completely halal. You're going to be wearing your ghutra, or, don't wear a ghutra. I don't know why people... It's a full-time job to just keep it in place. So, but anyway, you could be wearing anything you want. ثم يرجع إلى منى ولا يبيت لياليها إلا بها. Then he goes to Mina and should only stay the nights of Mina in Mina. فيرمي بها الجمرات بعد الزوال. When in the Hanbali madhab, when they say you stay the night, it means up until midnight. After midnight, they'll let you go anywhere you want. So how do you figure out midnight? From Maghrib until Fajr, the time between Maghrib and Fajr, you divide it into two. You add 1/2 to the time of Maghrib, and then you figure out midnight. After the midnight, after you sleep, up until midnight, you lie down up until midnight. In Mina, they'll let you go anywhere. But the Prophet ﷺ just stayed in Mina. So just stay in Mina. Just if you want to do your perfect Hajj, just stay in Mina. فيرمي بها الجمرات بعد الزوال من أيامها كل جمرة ب7 حصيات. Then he stones the jamarat after zawal, sun reaching the meridian of each day. Each jamra is stoned with 7 pebbles. And we went over this. And we said that he starts from al-Sughra, goes to al-Wusta, the middle one, which Wusta means medium or middle, and then al-Aqaba, which is the larger jamra, which is al-Kubra. So if we go back to the guy that was Ghutiba al-Yawm, this guy, okay. So he is starting from here, he is starting from al-Sughra, and then after you see what this picture is a good picture. That's why I included it. So he stoned the jamra, and then he moved a little bit farther away to leave room for people to do their stoning. And he stood there and he faced Mecca. Mecca is in this direction. So he faced Mecca and he made dua and so on. Then he moved on to the Wusta. He stoned the Wusta and made the Wusta to his right hand side. Because that's exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did. All of this is not necessary. All of this is not mandatory. We're talking about the perfect Hajj today. So he moved here, and then he faced the Qibla, and he made dua. After that, he went to the Jamra al-Kubra, Jamrat al-Aqaba, and he did his stoning, and left. He did not stand by Jamrat al-Aqaba. Keep in mind, sometimes we do things just to follow the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet may have done them for a reason that is completely different from us. So the Prophet may have left after Jamrat al-Aqaba because it was crowded. But this is an exercise of what? Mutaba'ah, exercise of following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Just being like strict adherence to the way of the Prophet ﷺ. It does not mean it's a must. No one is saying this stuff is necessary, is mandatory, is a must. It does not mean that there is always some chemistry to it. Sometimes the Prophet ﷺ did things because logistically sort of feasible or doable, etc. And we do them just to follow the Prophet and show our adherence. But we do not require them. They are not required. If you want to follow the Prophet ﷺ, his footsteps exactly, you do them. You get rewarded for this, but don't require them of people. Okay. Then ثم يرمي في اليوم الثاني كذلك. Then he stones in the second day likewise. So the first day is the 11th. The second day is the 12th. These 2 days we're stoning the 3 jamarat. On the 10th we only stone Jamrat al-Aqaba, the Kubra, the major one, the one that is closest to Mecca. They call it in the books, the one that is next to a shajara. There's no shajara anymore. The one that's next to the tree. There's no tree anymore. فإن أحب أن يتعجل في يومين خرج قبل الغروب. If he desired to leave early after 2 days, he should leave before sunset. If you stayed around until sunset on the 12th, you have to stay on the 13th until you make your rami on the 13th. If you want to leave, you ought to leave before sunset on the 12th. فإن غربت الشمس وهو بمنى لزمه المبيت بمنى والرمي من غد. If the sun sets while he is still in Mina, he must stay overnight and stone the jamarat the following day. فإن كان متمتعا أو قارنا فقد انقضى حجه وعمرته. If it is tamattu or qiran, his hajj and umrah are now complete. وإن كان مفردا خرج إلى التنعيم فأحرم بالعمرة منه ثم يأتي مكة فيطوف ويسعى ويحلق أو يقصر. If he was doing ifrad, this is a poor person coming from a poor country, or not from a poor country, coming from a rich country, but he is a poor person. And he could not, and he's also too weak to fast. Not only poor, but he's also too weak to fast. Because if you're poor, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you an alternative, which is fasting. If you do not make the offering, you fast 3 days in Hajj and 7 days when you go back home. This guy is poor and also too weak to fast. So that is what he did. He came only for Hajj, ifrad, and then he also wants to do Umrah while he's there. So that is what they prescribe for him. If he was doing ifrad, he goes out to at-Tan'im and enters into ihram for Umrah from there, and after that he goes to Mecca and makes tawaf and sa'i and shaves or shortens his hair. This shows you that the scholars have been compassionate, particularly towards the sort of unprivileged or so that is just to show compassion. They're trying to figure out a way for them to go back with Hajj and Umrah even though they were making ifrad. And always concessions are warranted, particularly for the under or the unprivileged, and with the weak and the old and this and that. فإن لم يكن له شعر استحب أن يمر الموسى على رأسه وقد تم حجه وعمرته. If he has no hair, it's recommended to pass a razor over his head, and his Hajj and Umrah would then be completed. This is the madhab. There is no traceable proof on it, but this is the madhab. He should pass the razor like this if he has no hair. Why he has no hair? Because he already shaved. He was making ifrad and he, finished his Hajj and shaved his head. Now he went out to at-Tan'im, started another ihram, and went back to Mecca and made tawaf and sa'i for the Umrah. No time. There was not enough time for his hair to grow back. So he still has no hair. So he just, a symbolic gesture, he, passes the razor on over his head as a symbolic gesture. We went over this before, so we don't need to go back and do it. وإذا أراد القفول لم يخرج حتى يودع البيت بطواف عند فراغه من جميع أموره حتى يكون آخر عهده أو حتى يكون آخر عهده بالبيت. And when he wants to return back home to his homeland, he should not leave until he bids farewell to the house by circumambulation, by tawaf, after he has completed all his matters, so that the last place he departs Mecca from is the house. فإن اشتغل بعده بتجارة أعاده. If thereafter he engaged in some, or she engaged in some business, he or she must repeat it. So you make your last thing, tawaf bil bayt, you make your tawaf around the bayt, and then you head to your bus. If your bus gets stuck, if you wait in your bus and someone passes by and gives you something, or you want to buy something, out of the window, you stick your head out of the window of the bus and you want to buy, that is fine. But then if you go to the market and you go and look for, the perfect slippers that you were not able to purchase, and then you go back and make another tawaf. You go back and make another tawaf. ويدعو بما أحب ثم يصلي على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Then he supplicates as he likes and sends peace and blessings on the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فمن خرج قبل الوداع رجع إليه إن كان قريبا وإن بعد بعث بدم. So whoever leaves before the farewell tawaf, he returns to it if he is close. And if he's far, he sends a sacrifice, sheep or goat. Tawaf al-wada' is obligatory in the Hanbali madhab. Those who leave without tawaf al-wada', they must go back if they're close to Mecca. If they have gone far away from Mecca, then an offering will be required of them, dam. Slaughter a sheep or goat. إلا الحائض والنفساء فلا وداع عليهما ويستحب لهما الوقوف عند باب المسجد والدعاء. Except for a menstruating woman and one with postpartum bleeding, they are not obliged to perform the farewell tawaf. But it is mustahab for them to stand at the masjid, at the door of the masjid and supplicate. So they stand by the door of the masjid and supplicate. They get as close as possible to the masjid. And that would be the end of that. Alhamdulillah. قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم. We'll have